Real Madrid. We're talking about one of the biggest, most successful football clubs on the entire planet. But this season, the 2025-26 campaign, well, it's been something else entirely. We're going to take an inside look at how a team of champions found itself in a state of absolute turmoil.
Okay, so let's just dive right in. How does a club go from the absolute pinnacle of European football to a full-blown crisis in just a few short months? That's a huge question we're unpacking today.
I mean, the collapse has been stunningly fast. It feels like just yesterday they were lifting trophies. Now it's a complete freefall, leaving fans and experts everywhere just scratching their heads asking, what on earth happened? The shock value here is just immense. Seriously, try to imagine this. You are two-time European champions, the kings of the continent. Then, before the season is even really halfway through, your coach is gone, and you've just suffered a humiliating cup defeat to a second-division underdog. That's not just a slump. That's the very definition of a crisis.
So, what is going on out on the pitch? Because when you look at this squad with all this talent, the results just don't make any sense. There's this tactical paradox right at the heart of their problems. Let's break it down. So the core issue really is this tactical mismatch. The team is trying to play this modern, aggressive style, pushing their defensive line way up the pitch. But, and this is a big but, they've completely forgotten the most important part of that strategy, actually pressing the opponent. Look at this number, 35.3 meters. That's the average spot of their defensive line from their own goal. It's nearly 7 meters higher up the field than it was last season. So you can see this is a deliberate, aggressive shift in strategy. But here's where it all just falls apart. Their pressing success rate, a dismal 18.6%. This is the whole problem right here. They're in an aggressive position, but they aren't winning the ball back. To put that in perspective, that's way behind rivals like Barcelona and Atletico. They're just being left completely exposed.
And then you have what we're calling the Mbappé Paradox. On one hand, his individual numbers are just staggering. We're talking 76 goals in 86 games. Unbelievable. But then you look at the team's overall output. Since he showed up, their average goals per game has actually dropped. So the big takeaway here is that his own personal brilliance just isn't lifting the entire team.
You know, this quote from analyst Anton Miana just sums it up perfectly. It's not a shot at Mbappé the player, not at all. It's an observation about the team's structure. One superstar is scoring a ton, but the collective, the team, has lost its edge. Of course, these kinds of problems on the pitch, they're almost always a direct reflection of what's happening off it. Behind the scenes, the discipline and the unity that you need to win, well, it's all started to crack. This timeline shows you just how fast everything unraveled. It reportedly kicked off with a star player challenging the coach's authority. That was followed by that shocking cup exit, which led directly to the coach getting fired. And even that new manager bounce didn't last, ending with a costly league defeat. It's like one domino falls and the rest just come crashing down. And this seems to be the flashpoint. During El Clasico, the biggest rivalry game there is, against Barcelona, Vinicius Jr. gets substituted and allegedly challenges his coach, Xabi Alonso. The club's silence in response was just deafening. It sent a clear message to the whole squad. The star player was more important than the coach. And what's the result of that breakdown in discipline? Well, you see it on the field. You start seeing players make these uncharacteristic, costly individual mistakes. That late goal they gave up against Osasuna, the one that ended their unbeaten league run under the new coach, a prime example of this total lack of focus. But there is another crisis here, one that's much more serious and pervasive, swirling around this team, and it's specifically centered around their star winger, Vinicius Jr. We're talking about the constant, vile racial abuse that he faces. This quote from Jose Mourinho after a match against Benfica just ignited a firestorm. To his critics, it really sounded like he was blaming Vinicius for the abuse he gets, kind of shifting the focus away from the racists and onto the victims' celebrations.
And let's be really clear here, this is not an isolated issue. We're talking about 26 documented racist incidents in just a few years at 10 different stadiums. The latest allegation, that a Benfica player called him monkey 5 times during a game. And to make things even more complicated, the club had to put out an apology for one of its own players, Dean Huijsen, for sharing a racist anti-Asian post. It's just a complex, ugly mess.
But through all of this, Vinicius himself has been defiant. He's totally reframed the debate, arguing his dancing isn't a provocation. It's a celebration of his culture. And this quote, it's so powerful. He's basically saying his success and his joy as a Black Brazilian are what truly bother his abusers, and he's just not going to let them take that away from him. So, with the team in chaos, both on and off the pitch, Real Madrid finds itself at a massive crossroads. They have to decide, fundamentally, what kind of club they want to be. And it seems like there are two very different paths they can take. The choice really boils down to two distinct paths. On one side, you have the classic Real Madrid solution, the Galactico plan. Go out, hire a world-famous coach like Jurgen Klopp, and buy another superstar striker like Erling Haaland. Then there's the other option, the Arbeloa project. Trust the interim coach, promote from within, and build a whole new system around your best young talents. And that internal project is already happening. Arbeloa is making some big changes, and he's placing his faith in the 20-year-old Arda Güler to be the creative heart of the team. The idea here is to solve their lack of control and creativity, not with a giant check, but with a new tactical system that's built for the future.
Which brings us to the final, huge question. What is the real solution here? Is it another round of superstar signings? A return to that galactical model that's brought them so much success in the past? Or is the answer a more patient, systematic approach, building a cohesive team that is truly greater than the sum of its very, very expensive parts? The future of one of the world's biggest clubs really hangs on that decision.